Today, March 3rd, I turn 43 years old. And I am having a crisis, but it's not a midlife crisis. See, us women, we go through so much throughout our lives, living in a patriarchy, living as second class citizens, and having to fear for our lives every time we step out the door or every time we go to a bar to have drinks with our girlfriends. All this stuff we are gaslit our whole life into thinking is normal. And then we have an awakening at some point in middle age where we become aware of all the BS around us in our society that we have been victim to our whole lives. We become aware of it, like as if a veil has been uncovered from everything around us. And so we have this awakening of all the BS that we have been through and are still going through with our society in our lives. And after being gaslit our whole lives with the patriarchy and the misogyny and everything else that's normalized to us, that's not normal. After being gaslit our whole lives like that, then when we have this awakening and start to realize this stuff, then we're gaslit into thinking we're just having a midlife crisis. Like, we're just going through this funky little phase that all women go through around the same time in life, or their hormones are all messed up, so it just makes them go crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's a midlife crisis, all right. But it's not for the reason that we're taught. It is literally an awakening. At least I can say for myself, I have definitely woke up in my 40s. I am so much more aware now of so many things in our society, in our lives. And then this whole Mr. J.E. thing with the, PDFs, I don't even want to say any words, but you know what I'm talking about. With that's really bringing to light the kind of stuff that I'm referring to, that we as women usually start to realize on our own, but now we have these that are just proving that we're right, proving our point, that we are brainwashed by corrupt men our entire lives and so engulfed in the patriarchy, and we're so overly actualized our whole lives and told that it's normal. And so then, of course, after 40 plus years of this, it affects us in such a major way that it kind of jolts us into an awakening where we are then gaslit more into, oh, she's going through that time. She's going through that time of life. And we're so brainwashed with this stuff and so programmed with this stuff our whole lives that even other women will say these kind of things. And it's especially hard if you grew up in the generation I did or before as a neurodivergent person. Oh, dear Lord. I grew up in the rural South, in rural Texas, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s as not only autistic, but also ADHD. And so and none of that was studied on girls, on women. None of it was. See, the funny thing is, my brother, my older brother, 4 years older than me, was diagnosed with ADHD when he was a little kid. I think he was like probably 4 years old when he was diagnosed with ADHD in the 80s. I had to figure it out on my own around 40 years old. Yeah, that's just a tiny little example of how different things are between men and women and boys and girls in this society. Yet we're gaslit, us females are gaslit our whole life to thinking that that's just normal. It's just the way of life, it's just the way it is. And like I said, then one day, after all those years of being gaslit and overly actualized and living as a second class citizen, and like, for example, women's rights change state to state. Men's don't. Men's rights don't change state to state. Men's rights don't change country to country, but women's do. Okay? That's not normal. We are not equal. And of course, men will argue that, oh, in today's society, women have it just the same as men. And even a lot of women, especially conservative women, will argue this because that's how brainwashed we are, how programmed it is into us, and how normalized it is in our lives, because that's how much it is in our lives. But I am having an awakening, not a midlife crisis. And yes, the awakening is leading to a crisis because it's a lot. It's a lot. But a silver lining of reaching this age and figuring out all this stuff is not giving a fuckity fuck about what anybody thinks about you anymore. Like, a lot of us women reach middle age and, like, really on a whole new level do not give a fuck anymore. And it's so freeing.